All right, everybody, finally live because Reed, aka the Naturalist Capitalist, is on some fucking colored people time. And I do maintain that white people can be late because of colored people time. You don't have to be colored to be on some colored people time. But anyways, he is back on my channel today to convince me to be an anarchist, which I don't know how that's possible considering that this exists. He's a neoconservative and everybody knows it. Everyone's seen the proof. I don't know how this man, I don't care if he's like 5 in this picture. I don't know how this man can consider himself an anarchist enough to convince me to be an anarchist. But we're going to find out. We're going to decide. I don't think it's valid because clearly you're a fake anarchist. But hello, how are you? Why are you late?
Wow, that's a very nice introduction you gave me there. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I'm doing just fine, Olivia. Thanks for having me again. Sorry I'm late.
It's okay. I want you to explain that image. So clearly you're too young to be working on a campaign. Did your parents just stick you in front of a sign and just say, hey, Bush Cheney? Like, what's the story behind that picture? What the fuck is going on here?
Well, yeah, I am... I don't know. I think I'm 10 in that picture, actually. But that would be 2004. So, yeah, I'm 10. But I don't know. I have been old. Yeah, I've been into politics for a long... I don't know. I was into politics when I was young, even though I didn't understand them at all. My parents were not big Bush fans. They because they were anti-war Republicans, but they were pro-life. So they always voted the pro-life ticket over everything else. But they didn't like George Bush because of the war.
Interesting to be pro-life and then vote pro-war. That's interesting.
Yeah, they don't do that anymore. But you know, it was just the number one issue. They were single issue voters, so they voted on the abortion line. But yeah, we protested the war in Iraq in 2003 when I was 9 years old. We were all standing on the side of the road. So a year before this picture's taken, we were protesting the war.
Scary.
Man,
sorry, go ahead.
I'm feeling ridiculed. I don't know if I want to stay here. This is kind of mean.
Is that your brother? Who is that?
That is my brother. That's Jonas. So
cool. This is just wow.
Hey, we got to post pictures of where we came from so everyone knows that they have the opportunity to grow and change. So,
I know. I've saved much worse than me in a MAGA hat from like 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's not as bad though. I mean, Bush Cheney's pretty bad.
Let's not beat around the bush. That's worse. This is 10 times, 20 times, maybe 100 times worse.
Beat around the bush. I see what you did there. That was pretty good.
I honestly didn't even do that on purpose. Caleb said I was 2 in 2004. That's relatable. I literally was 3 in 2004. Gen Z. Gang.
Were you alive during 9/11 or when?
I was 8 months old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was born in 2001. That's honestly so cringe. I hate that I was born in 2001.
Yeah, I do too. I don't feel comfortable talking to you anymore.
I know, I'm literally a child. What makes people feel really old is when they realize that people born after 99 are now adults. Like I'm 20, which makes me feel fucking old too. Anyway,
it's the turn of the millennia. That's why it's so weird. So
yeah, I'm sorry to roast you, but
it's all right. I do it to you. Well,
exactly. You call me a fucking bigot. First of all, we're gonna clear your name right now because you said we were gonna clear my name last time I was on your channel. Then you introduced me as a fucking bigot.
Yeah,
so I just thought I would introduce you as a neocon. I thought it was only fair. So let me get one thing straight. I forgot how the bigot thing started when I posted that video that was against trans women and women's sports. Was that the only thing? Like, I feel like you've never called me a bigot for anything else.
Yeah, I don't even really remember where it started. I'm trusting you that that's where it started.
I think so. It's a little unprovoked. I mean, I don't think I did anything to deserve it. I don't think you're like one of those wokeitarians that genuinely thinks I'm a bigot, but a lot of them unironically do. And you're that's
what makes it fun.
The flames.
That's what makes it fun because
it's not fun when fucking Brianna Coyle's out here calling me a fucking transphobe.
Yeah,
because
but
I believe in biological sex.
Like, I mean, when you have retards out there splurging.
Bruh, stop. They're going to see this and call us fucking ableists. Stop.
I don't care. They can call me whatever they want. I mean, you follow me on Twitter, you know that I don't really care.
You've been on fucking one lately. I don't know what's going on, if you're like depressed or something, but like your tweets read like you're going to like commit insurrection, like genuinely, not like some like, you know, burst the window in the Capitol. Yeah. I mean, like you're gonna do something crazy, and I'm a little bit scared. You're like tweeting death or like death wishes at neocons on a daily basis. What's going on?
Well, I mean, that's always been the sentiment. I mean, you remember you were scared to have me on the show the first time because you were
that wasn't why though. It's because you're fucking scary and it wasn't because you're like an extremist. It's just because I felt like you just drag people on the timeline and you drag everybody. And I thought I was gonna be dragged because I was like
now you're dragging me instead. See how that evolves?
I don't drag you that much. Like nothing like legitimate. I don't like actually drag you. I just post a fucking picture. But no, I was intimidated by you because you seem very intimidating on Twitter. You're like a fucking teddy bear face to face, but maybe you didn't want to hear that. Okay, I guess you're not teddy bear.
No, well, I mean, it's fine. Like you're
not
actually,
that mean.
You're feeding my argument right now because you said like you're so scared I'm going to cause an insurrection or that I'm a terrorist or something. But
well, no, we're at the point where I am scared. We're at the point where I am scared because you're like tweeting at Meghan McCain. I'm so fucking glad your dad's dead. Like, chill the fuck out. Well, what is your problem?
A little out of context, but not far off. Yeah.
I was gonna say not really. What was the actual John McCain tweet that was so controversial? What was that again?
Oh, the one that made the list, or
the one that made the list. It was like you posted a picture of like.
It was bad.
Well, didn't you post a picture of Meghan McCain crying or some shit like over her fucking debt? Zach, stop! Don't encourage this behavior. But you posted a picture of Meghan McCain crying over her fucking dead dad's
pictures. There's two pictures. There's one with her and her dad, and then the next one's her with her dad's casket, and then the caption was "Name a bigger upgrade." So
I do not condone this.
Yeah, but you're holding back a laugh. I can tell. I can see it in your face.
Like I'll laugh.
You can't even keep a straight face. You're smiling the whole time.
No, I'll laugh at fucked up shit, but it's like, it's like no. Yeah, everyone in the chat is like, "Wow, Reed."
Well, yeah. I mean, do you think I'm not going to say that that's not fucked up or that it's not like screwed? I mean, that was the point.
No, it's like.
I'm not defending it as though it's like cordial or something.
No, I think you could have made the same point by not including his daughter crying over his dead body. That's all. Do I like John McCain? No. Is he a fucking warmonger piece of shit? Yes. And we're going to post a picture of his fucking daughter crying over his dead body? No! Stop! What's wrong?
But you think it's funny. You do think it's funny. And you can't help it. And you can't lie to me.
I bet people reported the shit out of that tweet.
You what?
I bet people reported the shit out of that tweet. I didn't personally report it, but what if Meghan saw that? She would probably cry, bro.
Yeah, I don't really care. So.
Oh my god.
I mean, like, okay, if I had done that about I don't know, Hitler or Mao Zedong.
Stop.
Okay, I won't use Hitler. Che Guevara. If I had made the same tweet about him.
And posted his child crying over his dead body? I don't know.
Sure. Che Guevara or Joseph Stalin.
Meghan McCain just talked shit on The View. She didn't personally kill people. Yeah,
but I mean, it's about, I know she's in there and that was just for the shock factor, but it was about John McCain dying.
All right, well, apparently I'm alone here. Everyone in the chat, yeah, Zach's like, I think I retweeted it. Fuck y'all. Nobody's on my side.
They're on my side. I am a righteous person in this cause. It's John McCain. Fuck John McCain. Fuck Donald Rumsfeld. Fuck George Bush. Fuck Dick Cheney. I'm incessantly, dragging them while they're alive. I'm going to do it the day they die.
I was confused when I saw a bunch of people, like when I saw Rumsfeld was trending because he died, a bunch of people were like, RIP, like, my angel in heaven. I was like, I guarantee if heaven's real, he is not there. He is not there. But that's all I will say on the matter.
Yeah, I mean, like I didn't care about Kathy Griffin's tweet with Trump beheaded or whatever. Like, I mean, it was.
Come on, though. Like, that was distasteful.
Yeah, of course. No one's arguing any of this is not distasteful. distasteful. Like, of course it's distasteful, like, obviously. But the fact that you can get away with doing that with Trump and being such a high profile figure, like if anyone who is actually high profile tweeted out what I did about John McCain there, they would have had to apologize. And John McCain is so much worse. She should have
apologized. I think she should have been held accountable for holding a bloody head of Donald Trump. And I remember like Melania gave us, or somebody, I think it was Melania, gave a statement about it, that Barron saw it. And at the time he was like 11 or 12 or 13 maybe, and like was upset by it. Like, that's just fucked up. Right.
So I think John McCain is 100 times worse than Donald Trump. And for some reason, there's this reverence that we have toward John McCain. I
don't have a fucking reverence.
No, I'm not saying you do, but I think, you know, pissing on their graves and just making an absolute, I don't know, just making, you know, taking every chance you can to drag those people and demonize them and show what awful shit human beings they were is what we should do. So,
okay. Well, I'll disagree, because that was fucking crazy. And then after
I have like
after everyone, you know, sent a shitstorm towards your page, you just doubled down and kept making more fucking tweets about it. And you were like, fuck everybody, fuck all y'all. Which on some level I do respect. I don't respect people who tweet some shit then delete it and like apologize. Like I think I
don't do that.
Since you genuinely believe it, like don't delete it and apologize. Like I respect that. I just went off, tweeted it, and I saw it, and I thought about it. I was like, should I retweet this? Is this good for optics?
You should have given into the dark side. Just gone.
I decided against it. I'm sorry.
Well, I am proud that you at least thought about retweeting it.
I did think about it because I do like to tweet controversial shit. I tend to tweet controversial shit, but yeah, my bigotry does not reach those levels. I'm sorry.
Wait, so am I the real bigot?
I think you are.
I'm bigoted toward neocons.
I mean, it's not like an invisible characteristic. So I wouldn't say you're bigoted, but
well, I do. Yeah, I mean, bigotry is irrational, so I don't feel like this is an irrational hatred. But I do look at them as sort of subhuman and lizard-like. You know?
I know. It's like, damn, Meghan McCain's a person. Still, even if we hate her.
I mean, she's at least half reptile because she's John McCain's daughter. So.
Okay.
Just saying. I mean, you know,
you know what?
I know you're all about biology.
I might eat my own words. Because, you know, when Bill Clinton dies or Hillary Clinton dies, I won't be nice. I'll say it right now, I won't be nice. So maybe I'll eat my own words. It's just like there's certain people I guess I hate more than others just because, I don't know, I hate them. So I don't know. I don't think I would post a picture of Chelsea Clinton like crying over their grave though. That might be too far. I'm not sure.
We'll just have to see on the day Hillary Clinton dies.
Yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. If I'll post a picture of Chelsea Clinton crying. Oh God, I can't believe I said
I'll have you on my show.
I can't believe that,
and you'll just be like, "I'm sorry, Reed, you were right." Like, you know, these neocon, warmongering, lizard people, blood drinking, awful monsters. We should shit on them. So
see. I honestly don't have a problem with this one. They'll piss on Reagan's and McCain's grave. I feel, my main issue is just that Meghan McCain, I feel like I wouldn't do that to her, but I'm not like protecting the actual fucking warmongers.
Okay, but you're right. So the Meghan McCain was for the shock factor, but think about the actual content.
No, I know, because everyone's going to come to your page and be like, oh my God, this guy hates neocons. Let's follow him and, you know, see why he hates neocons. Be educated. I get that.
Wait, no. But I'm saying like the actual tweet too. If you read the caption, name a bigger upgrade, it's because John McCain is gone and dead. So I know that the picture of Meghan in there adds more shock factor to it and it's horrifying. But the actual content of the tweet is saying, John McCain is dead. That is better. So technically, it's not even actually poking fun at her. It's really that John McCain's dead.
Whatever.
Technically.
I'm just saying, if I was Meghan McCain, I saw that, I would literally jump out a window. That's all I'm saying. Reed is a status. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, man.
Clinton actually killed people. That's my point. Like, I feel like I would much rather be rude about Clinton dying just because she like directly killed people, like even more directly than John McCain, in my opinion. Like she directly.
I mean, John McCain like did go meet with the North Star Brigade, you know, and before we gave them a ton of weapons and everything. So I mean, he wasn't actually pulling the trigger, but
I genuinely think Hillary Clinton, I don't think she put a hit out on some people. I think she legitimately pulled the trigger on some people. Like, I think she likes doing her own dirty work. Like, she's that fucking crazy. But yeah, let's get into the content. I already roasted you.
Good job, by the way. I was impressed. Like, that was pretty good. So
thank you. So what's new in the world of anarchism? Because like so many people try to convince me of it. I'm not there yet. I'm kind of I know, cringe all you want. I'm kind of pissed at this point. Why should I go all the way?
Well,
cringe if you want.
Actually, to be completely honest, I'm kind of pissed at a lot of anarchists because they're retarded. Like, they can't deal in.
Stop saying that, bro.
They can't deal with the present, and they can't deal with reality. You know,
we're saying that.
This is what I'm paraphrasing Pete Quinones here, but libertarians are people who look at state action as though they are already living in Ancapistan. So it's like, we're already living in a completely voluntary anarcho-capitalist society. So if you say you want the government to do anything, or if you just want to change government policy a little bit and you don't want to abolish it, you're an evil person. You're voting with violence. You hate freedom. Which
they don't live in reality, because it's like, I know when you're like on your grocery store trip, when you're on the bus, when you're on to work at fucking Dunkin' Donuts in your day-to-day life outside of Twitter, you're not like going around calling people like evil status and saying that anyone who, you know, supports some level of welfare or some level of government is like a fucking wicked human being. Like, I know they're not doing it. They only do it on Twitter. So right. I've legitimately never met an anarchist in real life. Like, no one's ever told me they're anarchists in real life. I mean, I know they exist, but I just know in real life, if they said that same shit, that would sound stupid. Like, it's one thing to be like, my utopian society would be, you know, anarcho-capitalist or you know, communist or whatever the fuck. But it's another thing to be sitting on Twitter talking about, oh, these calling minarchists like neoconservatives, even though they agree on like most shit. And they're like, I don't know. It bothers me. It does bother me. And that's not me like that's not me ragging on anarchism as an ideology, because obviously I have a lot of like anarchist friends and mutuals and shit, and I do follow ones that are reasonable, you know, to an extent, not all of them. But yeah, you bring up a good point. They don't really tend to live in reality when they're discoursing, whatever.
I mean, my ideal is anarchy, but you know, if we're moving the needle in that direction, I look at that as a win. And I think anarchists and minarchists arguing with each other about, you know, whether we should have anarchy or minarchy is like college students who just graduated, who are tens of thousands of dollars in debt, who are arguing with each other about what they're going to do when they're millionaires. It's like, okay, you know, let's actually start doing something. And if we agree on the current trajectory, I don't really care. So, I mean, here's the thing, you know, if you're someone who's a Republican who I can find crossover with, but you really disagree with me on trade or immigration or whatever, like if you want to go hardcore in the opposite direction on some things, then it's a little bit different. But if you're like a conservatarian or a minarchist libertarian, for the most part, we want to head in the same direction on most things.
That's my exact point. But maybe because I'm a conservatarian or whatever, that gives me less credit, because the anarchists are like, why are you trying to like insert yourself? I'm like, I'm literally not. Like, just because I'm like on Liberty Twitter or whatever doesn't mean I'm trying to like take over your fucking movement.
No, you're actually
like whatever.
You're very transparent that you're not like a full-on libertarian, that you are.
I try. And I also am transparent that I'm not a full-on conservative, but every single day of my fucking existence, everyone's like, Olivia, stop LARPing as a libertarian. You're a fake conservative. Stop LARPing as a conservative. Like, it says conservatarian on my bio for a reason. I literally changed it from, I think at first I had it as just conservative, and then I think I made it like right-leaning libertarian, and that didn't really fit either. So I just made conservatarian, because I was like, look, like, people who are mad at me for talking about like the trans issue in women's sports, they're like, you're a fake libertarian, not a libertarian. And the people who are mad at me, when a lot of people called me a fake conservative when I posted that article about qualified immunity the other day with Fee, and I had several people say, why are you even calling yourself conservative anymore? Like, I'm quite literally not. I'm quite literally just not.
Right.
And I'm at the point where like maybe I should just take every label out of my bio so people don't even know what to expect. Like they just read my tweets and they can't call me a fake anything. So I'm considering that, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it was a private conversation, so I won't say who it was with, but an anarchist that I have a lot of respect for was actually talking about you and saying how much they respected that you don't pretend that you're in one camp or the other, that you're very honest about where you stand. So,
wait, are you going to tell me or no?
No, I mean, it's maybe I'll tell you after the stream, but it's a private conversation. So
that's cool because I've seen anarchists, some anarchists that I'm cool with, actually like quote tweet me and be like, you know, she is more right wing, but she does have good points. Like that's fine, because trying to alienate people who agree with you on 50% or more of the same shit when your shit is already very fringe. Like most people in their day-to-day life are not going to agree with any amount of libertarianism. They're just not going to. Unless it has to do with smoking weed, they're not going to agree with it. So I don't see the point in trying to cancel people who come on my show or make a whole big fucking deal about it. Like when I had the redhead libertarian on, I know she's so controversial. I don't get why she's controversial. I don't want to get like into the drama.
You had both of them on, right? There's two red.
I had both. And I don't think they like each other, but I didn't bring it up to them. Yeah, I don't think they like each other, but it's like whatever. Like I don't care about the drama. I have people on who don't like each other. I'm mutuals with people who don't fucking like each other. You know,
people on and call them neocons to their faces. You know, so yeah, I mean,
yeah, and it's just like I don't know. I don't give a fuck. But anyway, so when I had her on, like that post kind of made it onto ANCAP Twitter, and they're all like, look, a conservatarian and this fucking neoconservative. They're calling Josie a neocon. And I was like, bro, like y'all are not serious at this point. Because even if you disagree with her, she's just by no stretch of the word is she a neocon. So
yeah, sounds familiar. You know.
You're a fucking neocon.
Okay.
Yeah, like I don't know. About this comment, like I don't even know if most people would consider me right wing, at least socially. Socially, I don't think I'm very right wing. I mean, there are certain issues, like I'll talk shit about Planned Parenthood all day. I don't know if that makes me like right wing. I think there's a lot of like liberals who are talk shit about abortion and Planned Parenthood as well. I don't know. Basically the thing is it's like abortion, and I'm not even an absolutist on that. And I can get into that later, but not on this stream. Immigration. Is that it? Like I that's not social. That's not a lot of social shit though. Like I'm like pro like gay marriage and all this shit. So I've had people like when I came out on pause, people were like, "You're a fake conservative." I was like, I'm like, whoa! I didn't know that had to do with politics at all. But whatever. Right. So I don't even know. I might just take all the labels out of my bio, but.
You should just put fake in and then just no labels after it. Just fake.
Fake conservatarian.
Or no labels, just fake.
Just fake.
Adjective. Yeah, just put fake and nothing else. So
yeah, I might. I'm at the point where I don't even think I need a bio anymore. But
well, the fun thing is to sometimes, you know, when you have the idiots going at you on Twitter. You just agree with them. You double down. Like, yes, you're right. That is what
I know. Somebody called me a transphobe today. I said yes. I was like, yes. And they were like, stop being so hateful. I was like, no.
See, or you can be like me and troll post so much that they don't even feel comfortable calling you out because they don't know if you're being serious or not sometimes. Like I forget what I made a tweet the other day and someone asked, I don't even know if this is serious or not. And I said, if you can't tell, then that's your problem, and just left it at that. So
I know. Yeah, Zach was there for the thread. The person that kept calling me a transphobe spelled it wrong literally every single time. Yeah, they said trasnophobe. And I was like, yes, I am a trasnophobe. Thank you. But yeah. So let me read this comment. I don't think there should be a side versus side. It sounds like Summer can't tug a war and it's exhausting that no one ever listens to the other side. I don't find someone who has a different opinion wrong. Like, obviously, Reed can agree. There are people who have different opinions that you're just fucking wrong. Like, if you're a neoconservative, you're just fucking wrong. If you're a warmonger, you're just fucking wrong. And you're probably a bad person, too.
You're not even a human. You're like
okay. So you go a little further than I do. But I genuinely think that George Bush because of his fucking war criminal track record, is a bad person. And the fact that to this day, he still does not want us to pull out of Afghanistan because we're fucking nation building or whatever the fuck for the last 20 years, I think he's a bad person. I think he knows that no amount of nation building by foreign intervention by the U.S. is going to help Afghanistan. I don't know why we think that we can go over there, bomb the shit out of people and be like, they're not going to make any more terrorists because we're bombing the shit out of them. I'm like, no, that's just going to make people hate America more. Like, I get that people are going to hate America either way because...
No, Olivia, we just haven't bombed them enough. We're just like a few bombs away from getting...
We should bomb a couple more weddings.
Yeah, that's just a couple more bombs, and then
because
if
they get married and
give
birth to more terrorists, so we should just bomb. Bomb them all.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm like, the only way that more bombs are not going to create more terrorists is to bomb everybody there. And I think that's actually what they're going for at this point. So
it doesn't, but they do want to make terrorists at the same time. Like, it's not like they're not trying to create more terrorists.
They're fucking giving weapons to them. Of course they want to make terrorists.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why are all their weapons American? Why are all their weapons fucking American?
This whole idea that it was all unintentional blowback is bullshit. Like, I knew what they were doing, and it's perpetual.
I tweeted this kind of controversial shit. I'm sure you knew what Operations Northwoods is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of my followers, some of my followers were confused because I tweeted that it's kind of absurd to think that America would not bomb, attack, stage a terrorist attack or anything like that against our own citizens. And I said, look up Operation Northwoods. And call me a conspiracy theorist. This is why I believe that the government just didn't do anything to stop 9/11. I believe that, I'm not saying that we attacked ourselves. I feel like maybe that's a little far-fetched, but I respect people who do think that. But I'm just saying that we could have prevented it. We didn't. And we used that to fund a war in the Middle East. And people were like, Olivia, that's so far-fetched. You're saying that our government let an attack happen that killed like 2,000 or 3,000, whatever it was, people. And I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want me to say to them? Declassified documents that show that they can and would do that.
I certainly believe that. I think not just our intelligence agency, but Israeli, Saudi, and U.S. intelligence, I think, all wanted it to happen because if you look at everything that's transpired, it's all benefited those three entities.
That's anti-Semitic. You can't say that.
I know. Anti-Semitic, anti-Arab, anti-American. So I hate
myself.
It's
just anti-Semitic. You can criticize any other country, not Israel. That's anti-Semitic.
Oh, yeah. Well, this video got demonetized. Although, actually, like, I don't get how, but my 4 Horsemen videos are all monetized. Like, I don't know how.
That actually shocks me.
Eviscerate Israel.
Those are crazy. Those get really wild. You guys should subscribe to the Naturalist Capitalist and Catch.
Yeah, by the way, tomorrow
Ryan Dawson is on. I'm like, it's going to be a long night, guys.
That's tomorrow, by the way, for July.
I will definitely watch. But anyways, for those who don't know what Operation Northwoods is, I'll give my 5-year-old brain's understanding of it. Basically, they came up with a plan. It was not approved. I'll say this. JFK did not approve it, but it made it to the top of the chain of command. So that in itself is a little bit sus to me. But they made a plan that basically was to stage terrorist attacks against U.S. military, against U.S. civilians. They were going to bomb our own warships. They were going to bomb our own aircraft carriers. They were going to bomb random, civilian buildings, shit like that, and blame it on Cuba so we would have funding and public support to go to war with Cuba. So to believe that they would never, ever do something like that to fund public support for a war in Iraq and Afghanistan, you're smoking dick. And that's my favorite saying. I say that all the time now. But you're smoking dick because this paper literally made it to the top to where it made it to JFK's desk to where he pushed off his desk. We obviously did not commit a terrorist attack to go to war with Cuba. But the fact that it literally made it to the president's desk and was for his final say, I'm just like,
yeah,
I don't know. It's a little fishy. So when people are looking at me like Olivia's crazy for thinking that, not everything we think we know about 9/11 is true, then I think you're a little bit crazy. And Reed brought up a good point about Israel. Nobody talks about that either. I don't want to get fucking. You know what? Fuck it. We're
already on the Israel.
Google dancing Israelis. Google dancing Israelis. Like, what do you want me to? What else should I say? Or don't Google it. DuckDuckGo it. You won't find it on Google.
Yeah, and also, I mean, there's this big narrative about how we went to Iraq. We went into Iraq for oil, right? Like that's what the liberals say now. It was all about oil, but
I would say partially, but it's more about
80% of the oil go after the war.
Yeah,
Israel.
Yeah,
so
that's what I'm saying. I feel like it's for oil. It's for oil, but they got the direction of it wrong. You know, we weren't the main benefactors of that war. We did it, I won't say for Israel, but Israel was
for Israel.
Okay.
We do everything for Israel or Saudi Arabia. Like every time we're yeah, see, you are a bigot. I knew it. So
you know what? I just find it interesting. I really just find it interesting because you can say I fucking hate America all day long. You can burn an American flag, and that's your right. But no one calls you racist against Americans. There's no word that's what is it, anti-American? Like, there's no word that is like so evil. Like, nobody wants to be called an anti-Semite, right? That's
anti-Hickite or something. Is that
okay? But it's like an anti-Semite is like the worst thing you can be called these days, which is, it's true. If you genuinely have a hatred in your heart for Jewish people just because they're Jewish, then suck my dick. You suck. But this isn't about that. You can, criticize a foreign country and not be racist. But, there's a certain country, only one, that if you criticize, then you are a racist. But I will say it's switching to two now, because if you criticize China about the coronavirus, or if you called it the Chinese virus or called it the Wuhan virus, then you're anti-Asian or you're racist against Chinese people. So I will say there's maybe two countries now that you can't criticize or you're racist. So maybe.
Yeah, it's true. I think we ought to start using those tactics against the people who, foment them the most. Like, I mean, if someone just says,
I feel like it's everybody though, like the left, the right. No, I'm literally, shut the fuck up, bro. I'm not saying that.
Yeah, well, no, you're right. Like the right defend the right will call you anti-Semitic if you hate the state of Israel, and then the left will call you anti-Asian if you dislike the state of China. And it's like we're talking about states, not ethnic groups or
it's
people.
Like I hate our government, but I love America. I love Americans. I think we have like some of the best people in the world. I wouldn't want to live, anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
I
love some Americans. I'm not going to say all of them. I'll admit there's some I don't like. So
okay. I do like American people.
Two of them have died recently.
I hate to pull out like the I have black friends card, but like I have Jewish friends and not all of them are Zionists. Like I don't think you have.
Yeah, but when you have white people on your show, you call them, neocons and blame them for being late. That's kind of racist.
You know what's funny? You're the first male I've had on here in like months.
Yeah, see, you're definitely a sexist too.
And like a lot of the females I've had on here are like black or just otherwise minority. I had a trans woman on here. Like I'm hitting all the bases.
Yeah, so. I mean, it sounds to me like you're a radical leftist feminist who hates men, especially white men. So
I do hate men, but it's it's not political.
See, this video needs to get removed for hate speech. If you said that about, a different group, then you would you'd get deplatformed.
Like who? I'll say I hate anybody.
Really?
Okay, maybe I wouldn't. I can't believe this person I can't believe Matthew just gave me the K car pass. You know what's interesting? I'm so not anti-Semitic that I only learned what the K word was like less than a year ago. I had never heard it in my life before until like 6 months ago, probably. That's how not anti-Semitic I am, because I didn't even know what the fuck it was.
Yeah, usually people who aren't anti-Semitic have to, they have to explain how not anti-Semitic they are.
I'm just saying, I had no idea that was like a racial slur. I've never said it in my life, but I had also never heard it. So,
well,
apparently it's like as bad as the N word, though. I would never say.
I actually don't know what the word is, so I'm just as bad as you.
You don't know what the K word is?
I guess not. Maybe I wouldn't have heard it.
It rhymes with a slur for lesbians.
Oh, wait, what? That's anti-Semitic?
What are you thinking of?
I'm not gonna say, you just have to tell me afterward.
Yeah.
I don't think I know what it is, but
okay. Yeah, but White Lightning said that's why it's stupid. Yeah. Replace the K with the D. I don't want to say. I don't want to get fucking canceled.
Yeah, I know what the word is. I didn't know that was anti-Semitic, but
I think it's like a lot of like white supremacists use it.
Oh, see, I am new to social media. I've only been on it for like a year. I mean, I had Facebook, but never used it really.
You have 14,000 followers in a year.
Yep.
That's crazy. And now you're up to like well over 5,000 on YouTube. That's also crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a bit of a boomer on Twitter trying to figure out how everything works and what all the different sayings mean and everything, because I'm not a social media big timer, or I wasn't before a year ago. So it's been an evolutionary process for sure.
Damn, that's crazy. No, yeah, when I followed you, you didn't have that many. I feel like you had maybe like 2,000, 3,000 at the most.
When did you follow me?
Like maybe January.
Yeah, I had 2,000 or 3,000. It's been.
I want to say January, maybe a little bit before then. But yeah, honestly, so Twitter is crazy. I literally went from about 200 followers to 10,000 in one day. That's how I blew up. It was like very, very sudden. So like all of a sudden I was given this platform, and all of a sudden I was like an influencer or whatever. And then I started having, it was like definitely a learning curve, because I was still tweeting like I had like 200 followers when I had like 10,000.
Yeah, I still tweet like that now. I mean, to your point,
Clearly,
like Justin Amash and Tulsi Gabbard and Young Americans for Liberty, like all these big official accounts follow me. I still put that stuff out there.
I know Tulsi saw that shit about Meghan McCain and was like,
no, I mean, if she sees that, she's probably not going to come on my show anymore. So I hope she
when is that happening, bro? I'm waiting for that shit to happen.
It's supposed to be either like August or September. It depends on when she gets out of her active duty. Then she'll be good.
Oh, right. I forgot. She can't be all political and shit right now, right?
Right.
Interesting. Well,
you should try to get on your show. You can talk about being bigoted against trans people together.
I want Tulsi so bad, and not just on my show. I just want her. Anyways.
Oh boy! Wow.
Can you tell her that? Can you,
sure. I'll forward
when she's on your show, can you just tell her to follow me?
Sure. Yeah.
But tell her to follow me on Instagram so I can post thirst traps and she'll see it, not Twitter. Anyways,
Twitter's the ugly side of everybody.
Aw, a compliment. Aw, thank you. And Reed being online, both of you having a grown convo is so nice. This is not a grown convo.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if this is a grown convo, then
thank you. This is a very immature. Yeah, I feel literally I feel this way about Tulsi. Like, anyways, let me stop myself. Before I say something I cannot take back. But anyways.
Yeah, it's too late. It's already out there.
I mean, everyone knows I'm a simp. Everyone knows I'm a simp. I'm like the biggest simp on Liberty Twitter anyways. But so we've talked about this before, but I want to know what was like the final straw that pushed you into like, okay, I'm just an anarchist now. Like what was the thing? Is there one thing or was it like several?
Well, there was a big thing that really broke my back. And then after that, there were a few small things that finally said, okay, right here, anarchy.
So what broke your back?
It was that bill that passed right before Christmas, the stimulus bill, that it was like $2.4 trillion.
Yeah.
And only 2 Democrats, 47 Republicans, and Justin Amash voted against it.
Yeah.
And it was a 5,000-page bill that obviously nobody read because they only had like 4
It was introduced a couple hours before they voted on it.
And then I looked at the bill where the money was going. A lot of it was going to foreign governments, billions and billions of dollars. And then the lion's share of the domestic spending was going to corporations and the military. I mean, there was this thing that I saw this list that broke down keywords. Like airplane was mentioned 27 times, missile was mentioned 33 times, and then like mask was 5 times.
I love how they name shit though. So no, but they're like, you don't support the anti-lynching bill to end racism and COVID. You don't support the bill to end child slavery.
Yeah.
You don't support the bill to kill pedophiles. Like, Those are all great slogans. Those are all great fucking titles. When you look at all the pork that's rolled up in there, it's just like, we're sending fucking missiles to the child slaves in fucking China. Like, whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. We're sending $2 trillion to Israel. Whoa. But it's called the anti-lynching bill, dude. It's called it's called the COVID stimulus bill for the people, dog. You can't criticize it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'd always been sort of friendly toward anarchism, but as an ideal and just as, you know, sort of a dumb talking point, because I was a libertarian. I've been a libertarian for a while, so it always was sort of a neighboring philosophy that I felt friendly toward, but just didn't consider myself one. And then after that bill passed unanimously like that, and then the reaction that it got from the people, I mean, if you were someone who voted against that, you were evil and you were trying to stop people from getting their stimulus money for Christmas.
Clearly.
And I just realized we were fucked after that. And well, basically, the realization I came to was this is a losing battle with government. You know, it's a net loss. We're losing liberty. We're losing money. We're losing sanity. You know, maybe the government's good at doing a couple things, you know, like national parks are cool and, you know, fire departments are great, I guess, or whatever. But
I guess, or whatever.
Yeah, all in all, you know, the couple of small things that the federal government is okay at doing, it's so much worse at, you know, the horrible things that it's doing, murdering people and just squandering money and destroying people's lives. So I just came to the conclusion, now this isn't worth it. I mean, even if it can do a couple of things, okay, it's not worth the trade-off. And so then I started talking to anarchists. I had Magnus on my show, Carrie Wedler, and, you know, Spike Cohen's an anarchist, and then Dave Smith is also an anarchist.
Yeah.
So I was talking to all these people, and I watched some documentaries on it, and I already knew a lot about the philosophy, but that was enough to just say, okay, yeah, no, I don't honestly believe government solves any problems, and if it does solve a couple of them, it's not worth the trade-off for all the terrible things it does. So I call myself like a pragmatic anarchist, which might sound like an oxymoron, but it's just, I think that if you are a minarchist, you're actually more utopian than if you're an anarchist. Because if you think you can have a small government that's just going to do a couple things really well, you're delusional, because it's just gonna grow. You know, it's always going to get corrupt and it's going to get worse. And if you don't have, you know, I mean, we have the Constitution, right? That's what's supposed to constrain the government.
You know, I've always said I'm a constitutionalist, but at this point, I'm like, how strong is this piece of paper if no one even gives a fuck about it? Like, would I love if we, you know, abided by the Constitution? Absolutely, but it's just not binding. Clearly, nobody cares about it.
Yeah, so I mean, that was what I used to say too. I used to be a constitutionalist, and I just realized that this fucking piece of paper doesn't do anything. No one cares, and even some of the stricter politicians who follow most of it, if push really comes to shove, they'll get to a point where they're like, now this one thing, you know, I'm just going to ignore it for. It's like, if you can do that, what good is the document if it doesn't actually hold you to anything? I mean, you'd have to start beheading people for not following it or something. You'd have to do something crazy to get people to be like, oh wow, we really can't violate this.
I'm honestly down for that. Seriously, if we started putting people in jail for spending our money, for raising our taxes, for passing laws that nobody fucking asked for taking our guns, I'd be fine with that. I think we should put people in jail for that. Like,
see, that's why January 6th was a failure. Like, so many people either thought it was the worst thing in the world or it was the revolution 2.0. And to me,
it was neither of those things. It was just a bunch of fucking yahoos, you know, busting in the Capitol with selfie sticks.
I wanted to see prisoners taken and, you know, maybe some guillotines put into action. I was ready for something like that, and none of that happened. I was just like, this is not impressive. I'm not impressed, guys. Like, come on, step it up.
Yeah, I do agree.
I mean, see, the right wingers attacked the right building, but they should have had the same tactics as the left as far as what they did to those buildings. So, you know, I won't say it on your channel so that you don't get banned, but you understand what I'm saying. What happened to the Capitol building should have been the same.
No, I agree, because these Antifa motherfuckers was out here torching a CVS. So
yeah, I mean,
you know,
the Eccles building, you know, I don't know, the Federal Reserve building, you know, that seems like that one might
ATF headquarters.
Yeah, you know,
NSA. Let me stop. Like the NSA is literally watching the stream right now. Like, all right.
Oh, are you kidding? They have like a drone following me around. When I'm driving my truck all over the West, they've got a drone like right above me, just keeping an eye on me the whole time.
Shut the fuck up. That would be dope though. Chipman, I know you're watching this. Fuck you.
He's the best,
anyways, fuck that guy. So Biden had to approve that appointing, right? Like he had to approve that.
Yeah. Did he actually? Yeah, did they vote on that finally?
I don't recall. I thought he was nominated, but he's not the. He's not been appointed yet.
Okay. I don't think they voted on it. If anyone in the comments wants to correct me, but I don't think they've actually. Yeah, he's been nominated, but I don't think he's been appointed yet. So.
Yeah. Well, fuck that guy.
Yeah. No, he's. Wait, can we talk about that? Because that's been a really controversial take of mine lately about the guns.
Go ahead.
So, obviously, I'm completely pro-gun. I own many myself, but conservatives and some libertarians lie to themselves about how guns have somehow protected our freedoms when they haven't done jack shit in a long time.
Let's talk about this. Yes.
They haven't done shit in a long time. And I know there's been isolated skirmishes where people have had resistance. And I think you even brought up the Bundy Ranch. But like specifically on the Bundy Ranch.
The reason I brought it up, I wasn't necessarily disagreeing with your comment. You just asked for example. So I gave an example. And it was one singular successful example.
It wasn't successful because of the guns. They won in court. If they had lost in court, the guns wouldn't have done shit. Then they would have just.
Well, originally it was successful because of the guns, because they decided to de-escalate the situation, then fuck off and leave. Then they later went for it, right?
But then if the court case hadn't been won, you don't think they would have just sent tanks in and fucking leveled them?
No, I see that, but I think they wouldn't have gone to court. They would have just the cops would have just taken their shit at first, which is what
that could be. I'll admit that could be, but my point in general was that guns at large have not protected our freedoms, and conservatives and some libertarians act like they do. Like they're like, well, at least we still have our guns. And I'm like, okay, if they put you on a boxcar, but you have your gun still, like at what point does having your gun not mean you're free anymore? Because they've eroded like every single other freedom to the point that they almost don't exist. And
I have the opinion that if we didn't have any guns, it would be a lot worse. Like, wouldn't you agree? Like, I'm not trying to excuse that, but if we were unarmed, people would be busting down my door, forcing me at gunpoint to get a vaccine. I genuinely believe that, but it's not happening right now. But I think if America was unarmed,
I don't know, because
shit like that would be happening.
I mean, anything that they do want to seize from you, they don't stop right now. I don't think they really. I mean, maybe they'll actually push to get everyone vaccinated, but right now, if you have drugs that they want to take from you, or if you've got anything that they deem you should not have, they'll take it from you. Nothing is stopping them right now. They'll do it. And it's very rare that you see resistance. Occasionally someone will shoot back, but then if they shoot back, they just send the SWAT team back later and, kill them.
So what should people do? We should actually form militias is what you're saying then.
Yeah. I mean, if you want the Second Amendment to matter, you need like a large organized group to stand up against tyranny. This whole like, oh, I'll shoot them when they come to take my gun. Well, then it's too fucking late. Like you're by yourself in your house and the SWAT team's coming. You might shoot one or two of them, but then you're going to die. So what's the point? Like the Boogaloo Boys are the only ones who really seem to understand that concept, because they go out in mass, to protests armed, and they realize, hey, no one's going to shoot at us because there's 50 of us and we're all heavily armed. This whole idea that like, oh, I got my AR in my safe, so my freedom is good. I mean, once they come to take your gun, if you get red flagged, you're fucked. Like, I mean, if you shoot at them, they'll kill you, and you won't change.
They won't even wait for you to wake up, as we've seen. They'll just literally come in the middle of the night and shoot you. So
yeah. So my whole point is, guns by themselves do not deter tyrants at all. In some ways, they actually help tyrants, because if you have the public convinced that their guns are keeping them safe as you're still eroding all their freedoms, then they're not going to really touch your guns. They might put the heat on a little bit to make you think they're going to take your guns, and you just like do nothing but talk about, oh no, they're going to take my guns next year. We got to vote Republican again. We got to do all this. But in reality, they've removed your right to free speech, your right to association, your Fourth Amendment rights. They tax the hell out of you. They lock you down in your house. So they don't really care that you have a gun if they can get away with all of that. And people who think that they're literally going to send troops door to door to confiscate all our guns. I mean, the government is really dumb. So maybe
they did that in Katrina. They sent the National Guard in Katrina and confiscated guns door to door. Yeah,
but I mean, in Katrina, so I can't see them doing that on a nationwide scale.
Listen. All they have to do is declare a state of emergency. All they have to do, like literally, if we have COVID 2.0, if we have an even more dangerous version of COVID, if we have some type of natural disaster that's more widespread than Katrina, they'll do it again. All they have to do is declare it a national state of emergency.
I mean, if they do, I'll bet you that people won't shoot at them.
I don't think they would, because in Katrina, in a dire situation where people felt like they needed their guns, I think there might have been like 1 or 2 shootings, but out of like thousands of gun confiscations. So I don't know.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe they would. I think that would be their dumbest move ever, because let me put it this way. If I were them, I would look at the situation and say, okay, we've got all these people armed to the teeth, but they're never going to shoot their guns at us because they don't want to. They don't want to start a war. They're not ready to do that. So we can, still get all this revenue from them, and we can still spy on them, and we can still take their shit if we want to. So if we actually send troops in to remove all these guns that aren't an obstacle to us anyway, that's just going to be sticking a branch into a hornet's nest. So I don't know, maybe they are dumb enough to do it, but if they are dumb enough to do it, I still think the people are docile enough that there wouldn't be a giant uprising. You would see some people shoot back and some people would get shot and some people would die, but I don't think you'd see like the whole population resist it. I wish they would, but I don't.
So what we're saying is we need to make Boogaloo more palatable to the masses.
Yes. Boogaloo needs to be popular. Like Boogaloo is the way you resist, and that's how you resist.
It's so getting demonetized. Honestly, if it gets removed, I won't even be fucking surprised.
No, but Boogaloo is the way that you show the government you mean business, and it's the way to do it peacefully too. I mean, how many times has there been a shootout at a Boogaloo Boys thing? It's like never happened.
No one's gonna shoot at somebody who's fucking armed. That's gonna shoot back.
Yeah, they only shoot at you if you have guns. If you're in your house, like if you're out there with 70 other people, that's when they care, and that's.
It is a little dangerous though, when you go back home and you don't have your Boogaloo Boys with you, then they can do it. So that does scare me. I mean, isn't that how they kind of red flag Duncan Lemp? He was a 3%er, he was into all that shit, and then he goes home, he's alone.
Yeah.
Asleep.
Yeah. So all I'm trying to do is get people to stop thinking I'm safe because I have my gun. Like, that's not true. The state will murder the fuck out of you with your gun or without it. Like, the only way that they're going to start worrying that we have guns is if we start doing Boogaloo Boy shit in massive numbers. Then they'll be like, oh shit, these guys are going to actually do something.
I think the way that works is I just can't live in a blue state anymore. Or at least not in Maryland. Like, do you believe in like the free state shit? Because that's what I've genuinely been considering lately. Because I just feel like nobody around me shares my beliefs. Nobody else will shoot back around me. Nobody else gives a fuck.
Yeah, I just moved out of New Hampshire a year ago, so maybe I did the wrong thing. Maybe I should go back.
Oh, where do you live now?
Utah.
That's lame.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, it was for my job.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Maybe that. I don't know. The Free State Project, they're not really that free. I feel like they exaggerate how free they are. I'm actually going to have Jeremy Kaufman on my show next week, so we'll definitely get into that. But, they got pretty good gun laws. There's no income tax or sales tax, but they make up for it with property tax. Which is like the worst.
I'd rather pay sales tax, not income tax, but I'd rather pay sales tax.
Yeah, and then there's this thing called a view tax. No joke. If you have a nice view from your property, they can tax you more. And
who decides who has a nice view? They send a fucking inspector to come sit on your porch and be like,
Yeah. No,
This is nice.
Dumb. There was this apple orchard that we grew up picking apples at with this beautiful view of the White Mountains. They almost got put out of business because of their fucking view tax. No joke. So, I mean, that's the free state we're all going to move to. I mean,
I was on the website yesterday because when this shit launched in, I don't know, like 2005, maybe, when I was little, they said that they were getting like 20,000, families to move up there. So I go on the website yesterday. They do have about 20,000 pledges, but it was only like, I don't know. I had to double check, but it was like 3,000 that actually moved there. But they've had 20,000 pledges since like 2005. So I'm like, okay,
there's a bunch of mass holes moving up there too. So they're probably moving there faster. That's for people from Massachusetts.
No, I'm not stupid. I know East Coast slang.
All right, I don't know. I'm trying to take it easy on you, but yeah. I think the mass holes probably outnumber the free staters, especially. And then there's been I'm sure more people have moved after COVID. They've escaped their terrible origin state, and they're just going to make New Hampshire more like that.
My other idea, I was like, let me just fuck off and move to Kentucky. They got Massey, they got Rand. I mean, they seem more open to liberty than, at least electorally than any other place.
See, Rand Paul will say this too. Kentucky's actually horrible. They just elected him for some reason, and Massey.
What about Massey though? He fucking no other Republican comes close to Massey.
I know, but I saw a speech that Rand Paul gave where he was saying Kentucky sucks on almost everything that I care about.
Weed is like super illegal there, right?
What's that?
Weed is like super illegal there, right?
Yeah, and the police are, there's not much. I don't think there's much strength for police reform, anything like that. So, I
think now that I know this, my best bet is getting super rich, just grifting or whatever, buy a ranch, middle of nowhere, and build a wall. That's it. That's it. What is there to do? What is there to do? What is your solution?
I'm a bit of a nihilist. Like, I hide it a little bit. I mean, I think it comes out a bit, obviously, but I don't have much hope for the future. I think
Zach's right. I'm dumb. They literally had Mitch McConnell. Yeah, I take that shit back.
No, they're terrible there. But I'm a nihilist, and I don't think I think this state is going to collapse, but I don't think that's necessarily good. I think what's coming after it's probably going to be worse. So
like CCP levels of worse or what?
Yeah, like fuck. I mean, people will choose extreme authority over chaos. And I mean, if this
people want to feel safe, people choose security over freedom.
Oh, yeah. This whole idea that all of us are libertarians, we just don't know it yet. Like, that is bullshit. We're tyrants without power. That's what we are. Like, people either want to control others or they want to be told what to do. And then there's a very small sliver of us who don't want either of those things. We just want to control ourselves and leave other people alone. We're the minority. So, if this state collapses, like, we're just going to descend into chaos because we don't have people who actually do care about self-preservation or self-responsibility or anything. It's just complete batshit craziness. And so they'll choose an autocrat who will say, I'm going to bring order. So, like, I joke about collapsitarianism a lot, but I'm not really there. Like, I don't.
What is that? Is that like legitimately like overthrowing the government?
No, that's just like, fuck it. Like,
just let it happen.
Like Bernie Sanders 2024.
Oh, that's like, so you're like, that's like accelerationist. Like,
it's just
worst possible scenario. Just let it fucking happen.
Yeah. And then the state will collapse and everything will be fine. But I don't think that the state going away solves our problems. I think the state causes a lot of our problems, but I think you need a revolution of the mind before you can actually remove the state.
Dude, this feels like an acid trip.
But I mean, if you have people who think the way they do already because they live in a statist society, if you just remove the state, I don't see the problems just evaporating. Like, I think you have to change the way people think, the way people act. So, I mean, it's not like
people are so indoctrinated.
I know.
People are used to, like, people think of like, oh, if we don't have a government, we're just going to turn into like a shitty, third world country. It's going to be like fucking Somalia in this bitch, like whatever. And that may be true because people are tyrants, and in a void, in a vacuum, people are gonna, want to take power and control away from other people. So I don't know. I feel like that's what keeps me full on anarchist, because I feel like, without at least some semblance of a state I think this, at the bare bones, states should just protect our rights. I think that's what it should be for. If it expands beyond that, I mean, that's what happened the first time, so it did expand beyond that.
The state is what got us to this point. Like, it's what got people to acting this way. I mean, the idea that, people do suck naturally. I think like they're just not, they're selfish and they're, not looking out for each other. But the state enables evil at such massive scales that you wouldn't have without a state. Like, genocides would not happen without a state.
There's of course, because nobody, like, you have to, I hate to be like, oh, they were just following orders, but like there is no Holocaust without a government.
No, and then there's no.
You have to convince people. You have to force people. You have to have massive power, massive money to convince people to slaughter people. That only happens with the state. I mean, of course, there are horrible events in history that people go to war against each other. Like, if you can make the argument, like, Native American tribes without a big government, just tribal, went to war with each other. Yeah. But they were not committing genocide against 6 million people or millions of people. There's
Whoa, I can't believe you just said that. But I'm not gonna pry on that.
Let's not. Don't ask me about the number, dude. That's what I've been told.
Wow, holy crap. Anyways, the
6 million cookies, bacon. No, let me stop.
Oh my god.
Nick Fuentes is already banned, bro. There's a vacuum now, and I don't want to be the one to fill it. That's so bad.
All I'll say about that is that, I think it's really dumb to deny the Holocaust, because it's like the most well documented.
I'm like, that shit's so recent. Like, how are you genuinely sitting here and saying it didn't happen? But
at the same time, like, the amount of hatred that we're supposed to reserve for people who deny it, like, I don't get why. Like, why am I supposed to care if someone's denying this? If, like, we're supposed to care more about that than if people are denying, like, genocides that are happening right now. You know what I mean? Like, I
just think if you deny it, you're stupid. I'm not, like, really worried about it. But I do think that people who deny it are coming from a place of hatred, because there's...
Yeah, I mean, typically.
I think you're trying to offend people at that point, whether they actually believe it or not. But
it's something that I'm like, why do I need to condemn that? Like, I just don't care. If you're denying historical events that are well documented, I just think you're an idiot. Like, whereas
I guess it's just because, like, certain people have, like, a large platform and they're convincing other people of this, but at the same time, it's like, what are they going to do? Commit another Holocaust? Like, I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, there's a Holocaust in Yemen happening right now, and there's a Holocaust in, Gaza happening right now, and we're not supposed to talk about those. Like, if you talk about those, you're, especially the one in Gaza, then you're an anti-Semite. It's like, oh, okay. So, I mean, just like this, I just don't get the. It's sort of like, there's sacred cows that if someone touches that sacred cow, you need to demonize them with all your might. And I just don't, because I don't think it's the biggest pressing issue right now. Like, if it was 1941, then okay, yeah, that's a really big issue. But it's 2021. So, there are other issues that I think are more important. So if some idiot is denying it, I'm just going to call him an idiot and move on.
It's like, these people are fucking Twitch streamers, bro. Like, they're not elected officials trying to tell us that we should do a Holocaust.
Pretty much no influence. Like, I mean, it's funny because most of Nick Fuentes' fans are probably super pro-Israel, even though he's not. Because they're...
You think so? I don't think they are.
I don't know. I mean, most of the, like, hardcore Republicans I know are super pro-Israel.
Yeah, but you're not Nick Fuentes fans.
No, I mean, but, like, they like Nick Fuentes because he likes Trump. A lot of them do.
Really? I feel like the Grapers or, like, the Zoomers or whoever I've seen on Twitter, I've seen a lot of them being, like, hella, like, not like just fake anti-Semitic where they criticize Israel. I've seen them being, like, legitimately, anti-Semitic or whatever. And I've seen them say shit like pro-Palestine because they hate, Israel that much. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I just know a lot of the friends I have who are Trump supporters, they like Nick Fuentes just because he likes Trump. But
really,
Trump is like the most Zionist president we've ever had. He was super pro-Israel. So they don't
just wait for Ron DeSantis.
Yeah, they just don't always connect the dots. Like, I mean, it's like Dave Smith's fans. Like, they don't actually listen to what he says. They don't listen to any of his content. They'll be like, I love Dave Smith and Trump 2024, DeSantis 2024. It's like, okay, you've obviously never listened to anything that he says in his podcast. You just like his style. It's
a lot of my mutuals who used to be Trump supporters, like, I kind of went the right. They're like, Trump supporters went into two different directions. Like, the Trump supporters I was cool with, we're like, okay, Trump was cool, anti-establishment for the moment, but we've moved beyond it. We want something much better. And there's some people who are like, we want Trump 2.0, DeSantis 2024. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
Let's not, bro.
I mean, DeSantis is a great anti-lockdown governor, and that's about it. Like, I mean,
that's quite literally it.
Yeah.
Quite literally it.
I want him nowhere near the White House. And without coronavirus, there's no way I'd ever vote for him for governor either. Like, if I lived in Florida, I mean, he has a bunch of other horrible policies. So
no, and he's one of those people that thinks that criticizing Israel is anti-Semitic, and he wants to fucking basically outlaw it, which I wrote an article on. If you guys would like to see it,
which is ironically sort of Nazi-like. I have read your article; it was great. I shared
Thank you. I was called anti-Semite for that article.
Oh man, I've been called an anti-Semite so many times. Like I just
Dude, you know who's like one of my favorite people on Twitter right now is fucking Scott Horton, and that man gets called an anti-Semite more than anybody.
Yeah.
Anybody.
Yeah, he's great. You should get Scott on your show. He would do it.
Yeah, I should. We haven't interacted that much. I saw he retweeted me the other day. He retweeted that article I wrote about for Fee about the pregnant woman getting flipped in a pit maneuver.
Oh yeah.
I saw he did retweet that. So I was like,
I don't know why more people aren't angry about that. Like, that was super.
People are angry about it, but they're not trying to find solutions about it, because my article was centered around abolishing qualified immunity because that's what protects guys like this. And people were like, whoa, then all the cops are going to quit. Good!
Yes, that's what we want to happen.
If you're a cop who is going to quit because you are not protected from violating civil rights, fucking quit.
Yeah.
Quit.
Yeah.
That's what I said to everybody that replied. And it was cool because I followed this one cop. I forgot what city he's from. I followed this one cop. He's a cool guy, kind of like a black conservatarian type dude. And he replies to that article saying he agreed. I'm just saying, like, there are good cops who agree. They are, they're not the cops that want to protect the bad apples, because a lot of people are like, oh, I support the thin blue line. Not all cops are bad. There's just a couple bad apples. Then fucking remove the protections for the bad apples. Because I'm just going to assume you are a bad apple if you say you don't want to remove qualified immunity, if you don't want to bust up the unions, because that's what protects these people. There's no reason. And I'll brief you guys real quick on the article in case you didn't see it. But essentially this happened in Arkansas. There is a pregnant woman. Obviously didn't know she was pregnant because he didn't fucking care who was in the vehicle. There could have been an infant in the vehicle, could have been an elderly person in the vehicle, didn't fucking care. But that just goes to show. Pregnant lady's driving down the highway. It's dark. She's alone. There's a reduced shoulder on the side of the highway. She's speeding 14 miles over the speed limit. That is a significant amount relatively to speed. It's not like she's going 84 miles an hour. So if you're telling me right now, anyone in the comments who hasn't gone over 80 miles per hour in a 70 mile per hour zone, you're fucking lying, but whatever. She's going 84 miles per hour. Cop flashes his lights. In 2 minutes and 3 seconds, her car was flipped upside down. Now, within those 2 minutes, she turned on her hazards, lowered her speed to 60 miles per hour, which is 10 miles per hour under the speed limit, and switched lanes into the right exit lane. On the reduced shoulder, she couldn't pull over on that shoulder. And if you know anything about traffic stops, you know that so many cops would prefer you to pull off into a wide shoulder because so many cops get hit and killed when they're pulling people over in a reduced shoulder area. And of course, she's a woman, she's alone. It's a poorly lit area. She wants to pull off and exit. So within 2 minutes and 3 seconds, he uses the pit maneuver, which is what people use on fucking high-speed chases against fucking mass shooters and shit.
Yeah.
Which I'm pretty sure the protocol is usually to call it in, and they give you permission to use the pit maneuver because it's so dangerous to use because it can injure other people who are just driving by. Anyways, he rams her side of the SUV. She slams into the concrete barrier and flips her car upside down. And the dash cam video shows all of this. And he walks up to the side of the vehicle, and he's like, why didn't you stop? And she's fucking crying. And she says, I didn't feel safe, which is true. It's dark. There's a reduced shoulder. And he's like, well, this is what you get. This is where you end up. And the baby and everyone was fine. Like, they were okay. But it just, like, if there was a baby in the back seat of that car, the baby would have been fucking dead.
Yeah.
And it just, it infuriates me. Anyways, he remained on the job. He's on active patrol duty. He was not criminally charged. And now the lady is suing him and suing his immediate supervisor, but he is unlikely to pay anything because the way qualified immunity works is that literally specific case has to have happened before and deemed unconstitutional for it to have, any bearing in court. Right. So even if they're like, yeah, this sucks, like we should, pay some damages, that money will come out of the police fund, which is funded by tax dollars. He will never have to pay a cent.
Yeah.
Sorry, that just got me really heated. But anyways, people were calling me a fake conservative in that fucking article.
Yeah. Just to get back to what I was saying earlier about, we got sidetracked by the Holocaust there. The state has gotten people to this point where they're thinking the way they are now, where they're so dependent and they just want more and more handouts instead of more responsibility over their own lives. So I think along with removing the state, we also have to reinstate the philosophy of self-preservation and self-reliance, and also taking care of each other, not through the state, but actually doing it yourself, taking care of your friends and your neighbors and your family. Because if people look at the system, it should become it should be so obvious that the more and more centralized we get, the less and less efficient everything is, the more money we waste, the shittier our country gets. So I think it's a two-pronged approach. I don't think just removing the government solves the problems, because if you just remove the government and people still act the way they do now, then I don't think a ton is going to change. I mean, obviously with things like qualified immunity and, actual abusive state policies where the state is killing people, like you can end those tomorrow and you're not going to be at any loss there. But I do, have you heard the expression like hitting the Rothbard button? Like if you could just hit the Rothbard button, the state evaporates. Mm-hmm. I don't think that would result in instant harmony.
Right. Like, as you said, people don't really care about each other. People are naturally pretty selfish, which I don't think selfishness actually necessarily is bad, because that's what I said. On a small scale is good, but sometimes to certain people it translates into a need to gain power. Like they will trample on other people's rights to, gain for themselves. So that's where it crosses a line. People call capitalists selfish all the time just because they want to keep what they own. That's not what I mean by selfish, obviously.
But I mean, the other thing, it's not just the state that's over centralized. It's also business and industry. I mean, if you think about what happened with COVID, think of if COVID were actually like a really serious disease and it had happened 100 years ago, then people would have been able to take care of themselves better, because they would have had food in their garden, and they would have, there would have been more hunters who were actually getting their own food. Now everything is supply chain. It's all trucks
now,
all over the country.
Literally without the government, if we hit Rothbard button right now, Walmart is our fucking government now. Amazon's our government now. Yeah. We have to answer to them. We have to answer to the corporations. Which is another reason why I want to retire on a ranch and fucking Massey, and just he has solar panels and shit. He don't rely on the government for shit. That's what I want to be like, because if we're in a zombie apocalypse, Massey's gonna be safe. I'll be fucked. I'm outside DC. I'm fucked if there's a fucking zombie apocalypse.
Well, if we ended the government, I think corporations' power would also dwindle. I mean, they are in power because of the government. If you actually eliminated the government, you're right. They do have a big stronghold right now, but they would rather have the government than no government, even though they'd still because everyone knows that shut my dog. Oh. Everyone knows
that the biggest benefactors of COVID was the big corporations because they got the bailouts. Walmart and Amazon was the only people that was allowed to be in business. You know, the chain grocery stores, the chain, you know, delivery services and things like that. If you fucking drive for Uber Eats during COVID, you're fucking set. But everybody else, you know, the mom and pop restaurant on the corner or the store or the service, like, you know, barbers or salon owners, they're fucked. Yeah. So the government does give corporations a big, huge fucking break. So, but I'm at the point where it's like, it might be irreversible damage at this point. Like, I know that corporations
now, you're like, eat the rich. You're one of those people. Or...
Fuck Jeffrey Bezos. Anyways, no, unironically, fuck him because he's part of the fucking cabal, like they all are. Yeah. But not because he's rich or a capitalist. It's because he is a sellout and manipulated COVID and worked with the government to, you know, basically become. I mean, he was already a monopoly, but even more of a monopoly. Yeah. But it might be damage beyond repair. Like, I understand, like you said, you know, the corporations would rather the government still be around, but they've been given so much power just in the past year and a half alone, to the point where if the government were to, like, Rothbard button, if the government were to, like, disappear right now, I think they'd be set. Like, I just think they'd be set. Like, people would be fucking ordering their medication off of Amazon. People, I think that might already happen, actually. I don't know. But
yeah, well, I mean, this is what on the road to anarchy, I think you have to disassemble the state in an intelligent way. So I think, number one, all corporate welfare, corporate subsidies, just gone. That's got to end immediately. Yeah. And then, you know, the military budget, you know, all the abuse from the state, like all the, you know, the police abuse, you know, murdering people overseas, all that stuff could literally end tomorrow. Like, it's just got to stop. And then I think you get rid of the more abusive parts of the state first, and then you slowly deconstruct it until it's all gone. But the last thing you should take away is actually welfare that people need, you know, because they've been fucked over so hard.
I know. That's what I said. That's what I said on pause, that clip. I think it's still pinned to my Twitter, but like, I'm a capitalist, but like, in the long run, is a large welfare state good? No. Right. But a lot of Republicans are like, oh yeah, I'm a capitalist. Get the fuck off of food stamps, you lazy fucker. And I'm like, okay, the individuals who are on food stamps are not the reason why our economy is so bad right now. It's like 1% of the reason. So yeah, the benefits for the people who legitimately need it would be like, you know, the last to slash, because we're giving fucking Jeffrey Bezos $1 trillion. In comparison, I don't have a problem giving like a single mom like $300 a month for food stamps.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I feel. Like, the people who need help should be the very last thing that goes, you know, and we're probably never even going to get to that point. So if we could even just end corporate welfare and just end bombing the shit out of brown people overseas, like,
I wish Republicans would lead on that message. And I'm not saying every Republican does this, but I wish Republicans would lead on that message rather than saying, we have all these people on food stamps. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Yeah. You know, I'm sure most of them would like to. There are certain people who I've met in my life who are able to work and do not work because they're on unemployment. That's definitely a true phenomenon. Yeah. But there are much, much bigger fish to fry than someone getting $600 every week. That's just the truth.
Yeah, I feel like the most peaceful way forward that would move us toward anarchy is balkanization or secession. Like, I'm at that stage.
I'm like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm honestly down, but like, how do we divide it? Because shit can turn into a fucking ethno state real fast, and I would not have anywhere to belong. So I'm a little bit scared. So what do we do?
You really think that would happen though, or?
On a small scale, I do think it's possible.
So like Alabama or something, or where do you see it happening?
It's already been attempted in small state or small towns. I think one of them might have been in Alabama. I'm not sure. Mm-hmm. I did watch a couple of documentaries on it, but you know, since segregation ended, there have been pushes to make, you know, municipalities or counties that are whites only or whatever. Mm-hmm. Of course, Black nationalists exist as well. I just don't see it as much. And I've never seen anyone push for an all Black state or all Black city. I think most of them just want to kind of fuck off and go back to Africa. That's what I've seen. But yeah, I mean, it's already been attempted on a small scale.
So if this happened, like if Alabama wanted to be an ethno state, do you think they would be murdering people or that people would be able to leave?
I've seen a couple different proposals. Some people just kind of want to like approach minorities and be like, we'll buy your house if you leave. You know, we'll buy your assets, we'll buy your property if you leave. You know, some more extreme people are saying that, you know, they'll forcefully deport people. I don't know if they would actually round people up and shoot them, but they would, you know, force people out. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know which one of these proposals would happen. I just know that there's a documentary, and I remember this guy went on Oprah. This happened a long time ago, like maybe the late 90s. But he was trying to create an all-white town, and there was like one black family that lived in it. They were like bullying them to get out.
Yeah.
Like, you know, that shit really happens. I think it's few and far between, but I do think if balkanization happened, there would be some small, I would say small. Like I generally don't think the state of Alabama or like anything state sized would do that. I think it would be well under 1 million people that would do that. Like it just
So I mean, I think you're right that there's a possibility that something like that would happen, that certain areas would have, like, you know, Utah might become a theocracy if we balkanize.
Yeah, that's another thing. I could definitely see a state where they're like, no gay marriage, no abortion. Not that I am necessarily like super pro-choice, but I'm just saying it would happen, you know?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think there's a possibility of that happening, that smaller states would have some policies that are worse than, you know, other policies that the United States has. I don't think, I mean, obviously, if we balkanize...
States are already like that. Even though we are pretty centralized, there are states clearly that have worse policies than other. I live in one of the worst.
Right. So, but I was also going to say that the federal government wouldn't exist anymore. And, you know, the amount of evil that the federal government perpetrates, it would be pretty hard to see that amount of social evil.
You know? Absolutely. You know what? This is controversial. This is such a Mises Caucus take. But if I had to deal with some fucking whites only town 1,500 miles away from me with like 5,000 people in it, I would take that over the fucking CIA existing. I would take that over the fucking ATF existing.
How is that even controversial? I mean, you don't have to go there.
You know who thinks it's controversial.
Oh yeah, I know.
Fucking Archie Flower is going to do my mentions later. But
I muted him. I just couldn't take him anymore.
I don't know why he follows me. I don't think he's ever
finally unfollowed me, and it took a lot. Like I had to publicly shame him to get him to unfollow me.
I think he does hate follow people. I've only ever seen him be annoying. I've only ever seen him trying to shame people, and it's just like, you don't have to be on Liberty Twitter if you don't like what's over here, bro.
See, I will speak in defense of Archie here, and it's still going to be a slam, but it's also a defense. Like,
go ahead.
I don't think that he's malicious. I think he's dumb. Like, he's just.
I would agree with that. I don't think he genuinely I don't think he hates.
No, he's just so dumb that he doesn't see his inconsistencies and how dumb he looks. Like he has no self-awareness. So like all this like incessant attack all these incessant attacks that he does against everybody. He doesn't realize how much of a fool he's making himself out to be. And he also doesn't realize the inconsistencies in what he's saying. So I'll give him that defense. Like he's just dumb. He's not actually a horrible shit person. He's just an idiot. So
I don't think that's very controversial, but I remember how controversial it was when the Mises people were like, would you vote for a president that was racist in his personal life? But of course, in policy, wouldn't it be racist? Like, wouldn't it, create segregation? But the main point was, would end all wars, including the wars in the Middle East. And people flipped out about it. And that's why I brought it up, because I feel like that's kind of somewhat of an equivalent. Like, I would like, not that I'd be okay with it, but I'd rather deal with, I mean, honestly, if all the white nationalists like fucked off and went somewhere far away from me, that's fine. Like, then I don't have to deal with them. I
mean, if we balkanize and California turns into a communist state,
fuck off, bro. Create all the little chazzes and chops you want. I don't give a fuck.
or Stalinist, whatever. Like, I mean, if you want to create a totalitarian state, I don't care. I mean, this is the thing. People who hear about balkanization and they're worried that we might have a couple states that go totalitarian, that's a neocon way of looking at things. That's like saying we need to reform Libya or we need to reform Iraq. It's the same thing.
That's so true. That of course, if we balkanize, and there's gonna be that one neocon state that's like we have to go in there and fucking nation build or whatever.
Yeah, we have to prevent Alabama from doing. It's like, no, we don't. Like, just don't go to Alabama. If people can leave Alabama, as long as people can leave, who cares? And then, I mean, I guess if after long enough, maybe you couldn't leave anymore. But still, like, I mean,
that's kind of how I feel about a lot of issues because the Alabama heartbeat bill was very controversial. I actually don't have an issue with it.
Yeah,
and I barely ever speak on abortion because it's one of those things where I feel like most people should just shut the fuck up about it if you don't know what you're talking about. And I usually don't know what I'm talking about it.
Yeah.
Because it's like one of those things where like no one can agree on where life begins. Some people believe it's conception. Some people believe it's fertilization, and they believe that, a Plan B pill is an abortion. Some people think that it's at the heartbeat. I think the heartbeat is a compromise that most people should be able to agree on. Like,
I think if you masturbate, that it's that's your serial.
You're killing like thousands of potential babies every time you jerk off into your fucking sock. Remember that.
That's right. Yeah.
Remember that, kids. No, but for real, I find compromise usually good. In my opinion, obviously people are declared dead when their heartbeat stops. I feel like if we're going to decide a place where people are alive, it should be when there's a heartbeat. So I had no problem with the Alabama heartbeat bill, and it still gives a compromise to the left. Like, what if I was raped? Okay,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, conceptually, I completely agree. The problem is through like execution. I mean, how do you actually enforce that? It's going to be pretty tough.
I thought it would be something where like you go to the clinic and they see if you have a fetal heartbeat, and if you do, then like it's too late. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, if they follow the policy, I'm just saying, like, how do you enforce it from a law enforcement perspective? Like, I mean, you could just hope everyone follows the law, but
yeah, I don't know. I just
prosecution.
I'm not one of those people that thinks that women who get abortions should go to jail or like are evil or whatever. But the thought of like, when it's like second trimester, I think like it at the beginning it's like a pill and it just kind of like, but where we're at the point where we're like dismembering a fetus with pliers and like pokey little sticks, that's disgusting to me. Like that literally makes me want to throw up because that's body parts. Like that's not fully formed, but you know what I mean? Like,
no, I'm on your page. I completely agree.
But anyways, I'm sorry. I don't want to get back to my point. But anyways, when everybody was nationally freaking the fuck out about a bill in Alabama, when they were all the way to fucking California where that shit would never happen, they were like freaking the fuck out. Disney's like, we're not filming in Alabama anymore. Like they're flipping the fuck out. I'm like, what is the point of having states if they can't decide what to do with their own laws? Like, I feel like abortion should be up to the states. Honestly, I don't think we'll federally ever have a law that everybody agrees with. Personally, I would not get an abortion. And I personally think it's very disgusting that there's actual like dismembering of a child going on. But, there is some leeway and discussion about when life actually starts. I'd feel differently about an abortion if it was a fucking zygote rather than a fully formed fetus. I'm sorry if that's not consistent, but it's like a thing where like I've seen this before. So I didn't mean to turn this into an abortion discussion. So we don't want to talk about it. We don't have to talk about it. It's all good. Okay. Well, I saw this example before and it made me really think about it and kind of justify my beliefs. But it's like, this is very common. But if you saw a building on fire, you rush in, there's a fully formed baby on the table and 1,000 fertilized cells in like a little IVF freezer or whatever. Which one are you going to save? Clearly the baby.
Right.
So I feel the same way about like fetuses that are like more developed and have a heartbeat and have, limbs and shit that you actually would have to like kill and they'd feel pain because they have nerve endings and shit at that point rather than, a newly fertilized egg. I don't know. People might hate me for that because I'm not an absolutist.
So I'm gonna twist this conversation and make it even worse. So I think if you're an evangelical Christian, then you should be pro-choice, because then all these fetuses go straight to heaven.
We talked about this. So for those who don't know, the reason I really wanted to talk to Reed is because he had a fucking crazy talk about religion with David Fite, which I got drunk and watched like the full 2 hours of.
And by the way, the first message she ever sent me was, or no, she commented on the video saying, like, this is the best video I've ever watched, or something like that.
Bro, I was fucking wasted. But I was laughing my ass off because they were having this deep theological discussion and they were talking about like Christianity, and it made sense to me. I'm like, well, if all babies just automatically go to heaven, then
yeah, I mean, it's just a straight conception.
I don't agree at this point. I'm not like pro-choice in that way, but it is funny.
Yeah, it's episode 80 on my channel. Go watch it.
That shit was wild, bro.
But no, I do agree with you on abortion. Like I don't think life starts at conception, but I also don't think it starts at birth. I think it's somewhere in between. And
I think it's very early on, but it's not when it fertilizes the egg, I guess I would say.
But I think it's a culture war battle. That's how we get people to think it's immoral. I don't think people realize how well developed a fetus is when most abortions are happening. They do think it's just a pill that you take and dissolves the fetus. They don't realize it's dismemberment and that there's all sorts of
fucking comment. That's fucked up, bro.
That's what I said. The fetus to heaven pipeline, or the conception to heaven pipeline. That's what I said. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think talking about it and showing people what actually happens, and the number of them that happen a year, I think that's where the war is more than legislatively. I think if you can change the public's opinion on it, that's how you.
Right. I do feel similarly, because I think Planned Parenthood has such a hold on people. They're like, no, they do cancer screenings too.
Yeah.
You can get a cancer screening at any fucking doctor's office. The hold that the industry has on people that makes it like, I've had friends that have gotten abortions, and I've been like there for them in a way that a friend should. I haven't called them like a murderer or anything like that.
Yeah.
But it's like, en masse, it's a very sad situation. It's a hard thing to do. Generally speaking, when people like celebrate their abortion, like it isn't a sad, somber thing, then I feel like that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Like that's very, very weird.
Very strange.
But when we're at a point where people are just like casually getting multiple abortions just after, nothing bad happens to them, they're just like being reckless, then like that's very, I don't like that. Like, I don't know how else to say it. Like, I just don't like that. We have to change people's, I think, mindset towards it. Like, it should be a sad, somber thing. If you legitimately have to do that, then you have to do that. But
yeah, that's what I think is so
most
hard
people who get abortions don't legitimately have to do it.
Yeah, that's what's so hard about everything we're talking about, is that I think, so many people are just focused on the government, where it's a cultural mindset that we have to overhaul on so many levels. Like, we've just been, you have big business, big government, and big tech, big media, big like news, CNN, all this cabal that has conditioned us to think a certain way. And it's going to take a lot to get people to think differently again, because they've been so propagandized by it. And that's where the real battle is, I mean, because actually, if you change people's minds, then the state will change, whether it's through voting or people like having enough and, resisting the state. I mean, I don't believe that the people are the government. If you say we bombed Syria, that's not true. Like, we didn't bomb Syria. The government decided to bomb Syria, but the government only exists at the allowance of the people. Like, if the people get sick of the government, we have a lot more numbers on our side. We have a lot more guns on our side. If we actually got sick of the government and we actually got sick of what was happening and we actually wanted things to change, then they would. But not enough people care. not enough people are involved, not enough people know what's going on. So I guess that's why I do what I do, just to, I'm not going to change enough people's minds, but I can change some. And, that's really where the battle is. I don't think it is necessarily with lobbying for certain bills, or because that's so temporary. Like, even if you get a bill passed, it can get overturned really quickly if the mindset of the people doesn't change. The mindset of the people is where the seeds are going to be planted and where we're actually going to see systemic change come from, I think.
Whoa, I don't think Reed's that old. Hold on. Someone said you're mid-30s. How old are you?
Wait, how old do you think I am?
You said you were like 10 in 2004, right? Or 2005?
2004.
I'm really bad at math. Okay, you're 27.
Yeah, that was some pretty amazing math there.
Shut the fuck up, bro. I think it's the mustache that makes you look older, but I don't think you look mid-30s.
When I have the beard, I do. I look 40. That's terrible. But
honestly, get it, like, you have this comb over thing going on. I don't know if you're bald under there, but
I'm not, but whatever.
Okay. You look like Ron Swanson. Apparently I'm not the first person to point that out. Apparently it's very common.
No, I mean, last year, so see, I've had 2 Twitter accounts. I had the first one I made in like November of 2019, but I just never used it until like March of 2020. And then I had that one until I think October of last year.
Did you get
banned?
I
deleted it.
Oh.
And then I just brought it back in November of last year, I think. And that's the one I have now. So I had to rebuild. I think I got up to like 4,000 followers the first time. And then I just had to rebuild it.
Why'd you delete it?
There's a couple of reasons. I jumped on that no libertarian under 1,000 thing. I don't know if you saw that. I don't know if you were in the Liberty circle back then, but there was this big movement to get every libertarian account over 1,000 followers. That was a bad idea because a lot of people who didn't deserve a platform got it. That's why we have so many Lolbert idiots right now that have.
Can we talk shit? Can you name names? Who are we talking about?
I think everyone. Archie's one of them. Like, although he got more followers off of.
He barely has 1,000 though, doesn't he? Like, he doesn't have that many.
I think he has 2,000, but he got a lot of his from his debate with Dave Smith. But then there's this guy. His name's Gus. I forget what his last name is. There's just a lot of them that like don't have any philosophy or know what they're talking about, but they have a platform.
Now I'm like, I wonder what people think of me because I have a lot of followers and I don't think I'm like philosophical.
Yeah, but you don't post stuff out of your league. Like, you post stuff that you know about. You're posting articles you write and opinions that you actually have. Like, I don't go out of my league either. Like, I'm not like Ace. Ace, the guy who's always posting anarchist stuff all the time.
I think I've seen his stuff before.
Yeah, he's a genius. He's like a modern day Lysander Spooner. So I don't go there. I do I talk about stuff I know about and then make the shit posts to cause people's heads to explode. And, I just stay, I stay in my lane.
I'm a big proponent of minding my own fucking business. If I don't know shit about shit, I'm not going to talk about it. So, people will tag me and shit, or people will DM me shit like, oh, yeah, why aren't you talking about this? And it's people, sometimes it's people who mean well. Like, I had somebody who was like, I had 2 people actually that wanted me to talk about a civil war that's happening in Ethiopia. And I was like, I feel uneducated, but this is like the first time I've heard about it, guys. Like, I have to read up on it. I don't know what to say. Yeah. It's on a smaller scale, but it seems about as controversial as Israel versus Palestine. There's like 2 sides and everyone hates each other. So I'm like, I'm not going to piss a bunch of people off by talking about some shit I really don't know enough about.
Yeah. I try to be the same way. So
that's the thing about, that's kind of my thing about abortion. It's like, I'm not a medical doctor. I don't know what the closest time frame is to when a baby is actually alive. I just know that it makes me fucking sick when fetuses are dismembered. Like,
that's actually an issue I used to know a ton about it because that was the number one issue growing up. I haven't talked about it in a long time, so I'd have to brush up on it. Like, at what point, all the developments are happening and how the different abortions are carried out and what the different laws are like. Because that was the number one issue when I was in middle school and high school. That was what I cared about the most. So I knew all the statistics and everything, but I'd have to
I'd have to have a refresher course.
To be fair, I do think most abortions take place in the first trimester. So it's not like I don't agree with the Republican talking point that there's like so many late-term abortions. I think
it's the second trimester.
Second trimester? Oh, so. That does kind of suck. But I don't think there's a lot of I don't think a lot are getting.
There aren't a lot of late term. There aren't a lot of third trimester abortions or partial birth abortions. It's pretty rare.
Yeah, I think the majority of that is when it's the mother is going to die if this does not happen right now. So I empathize with that for sure.
Yeah.
I should talk to Ryan Dawson, but there's he gets banned. I don't know how to talk to him.
Yeah, I can get you in touch with him if you want.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm gonna watch more.
That would be awesome. You and Ryan Dawson. Holy shit!
What will we talk about?
I get banned
so fast.
You should talk about the Civil War. That would be a good one because there's I personally I think he's a little too black and white on it. He's like the South was 100% good, the North was 100% bad. I'm not there, but I do agree with him that it's been super propagandized.
Yeah, y'all libertarians are tripping a little bit on that. I just have to say.
Well, let me explain my position. The North did not fight the South to end slavery. That's not why they
Everybody knows that. I'm just saying nobody wants to point out that the Constitution of the Confederacy literally had the right to own Negro slaves in it.
Yeah, no, I'm not denying that. I don't think that the South wanted to abolish slavery. I just don't. Most people think the war was over slavery. The war was fought to keep the South in the Union. They even offered the South to keep their slaves if they would stay in the Union.
Mm-hmm.
And then the South even at one point said, "We'll get rid of slavery." There's a conference right before the end of the war. I'm spacing on the name of the conference they had. But they said, we'll abolish slavery if you let us stay out of the Union. And that was denied. So this idea that the war was over slavery is not.
I don't know why. It's not a lot of people that think this anymore. But growing up in elementary school, I was taught that Abraham Lincoln, was this anti-racist fucking god and wanted to free the slaves, just because he liked black people so much. And that's just not the case.
Yeah. And then Reconstruction after the war. I mean, corporatism.
Or black people couldn't fucking vote, own a gun, go to school, get a job. And we didn't go to Civil War over that. Nobody gave a fuck about that. We had segregation and discrimination long after the Civil War. Nobody really gave a fuck about black people having rights in the long run.
And then, you look at any other war. You look at the war in Iraq, and then you're like, okay, the war in Iraq was all bullshit. And then we're supposed to believe that the Civil War was this just cause that we had to have hundreds of thousands of people die in. It's just, I don't think it's true. But that would be a very interesting episode if you had him on. And you could talk about other stuff too. You could talk about Israel, Palestine, talk about 9/11.
I do want to talk about 9/11.
Yeah, you totally should. But I will hook you up with them if you want. That would be a great episode.
That would be dope. I need some more men on this channel. You know what though? I noticed that my my live streams with girls get twice, 3 times as many views. I looked at my channel statistics. My subscribers are 70% men. So I think they just want to see some e-girls on here, not gonna lie. But
yeah, I mean the stash has a certain level of magic, but it doesn't go that high. So
oh my god.
The Liberty stash.
That just reminded me of that fucking what was that stream that Will did?
Oh, right.
I'm sorry. I feel like I kind of harassed you on that stream. I'm sorry.
It's all right. You always harass me. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Reconstruction era was also very damaging to the economy of the South over the long time because of tariffs and economic policy that was pursued to punish the southern states. Yep.
And then you also had merging of corporation and state with the railroad companies and steel companies that later on we have to break them up. And you're taught in school that, it was capitalism out of control that led to all these trusts that had to be broken up. When in reality, you can read The Progressive Era by Murray Rothbard. It talks about this. It was the government that created all these giant monopolies in the first place. And a lot of that started in the Civil War or right after the Civil War. So,
damn. So everything I learned was a lie. America was never good. And now I struggle because like people still bring this shit up to me. They're like, well, what do you mean by make America great again? And now I can't even answer that shit, to be real.
Yeah, I mean, the American government has always been bad. Like, when was the American government good? Never.
Probably never.
You just got to point.
I guess it's more of a culture war thing. I think that slogan was always more about a culture war. Like, let's go back to where, there was more 2-parent households, or, people were more Christian, or people were having less abortions, or,
So it's the thing about the people. It's not about the government. The government has never been good. I mean, we were genociding Indians 200 years ago, and enslaving African Americans, and then we evolved from that to killing people overseas. So I mean, we've never been good as a government. Like, we've never had a good government, but we have had amazing people in this country, people groups who have struggled and overcome and persevered. So I mean, if you are going to ever use that slogan, that's what I would point to.
Yeah, so that's funny that Reagan did use it first, because that was a long time ago. So I'm like, what did you mean by that? Because when Trump people say it, they mean the Reagan era. They mean like, 70s, 80s, after segregation ended, but before like transgenders. Yeah. Like, after black people could have rights and stuff, but no, like, not too many.
Gays. Yeah.
Yeah, no. Like, they want the AIDS crisis. But when Reagan said that, I'm like, you're old as fuck. So what are we talking about? Great again? Like, how long ago was that, when women couldn't vote, or like what? That's what is curious to me. I want to know.
I have never used that statement, "Make America Great Again," because I mean, it is so subjective. Like, you could look at any time and say, well, this was better at this point. It's like, okay, but these other things weren't better at that point. So how about just like "Make America Better" or something? Make America, or just "Make America Great." That could have been a good slogan. Make America great.
And now the slogan, or at least for 2020, was "Keep America Great." I'm like, it's not that.
They gave it up though. Did you notice? Like, halfway through the campaign, they went back to "Make America Great Again," because I mean,
tag is so fucking stupid. MAGA was way.
If you had all these giant riots and crazy spending bills and people locked in their houses, like, keep America great.
Yeah, because they don't want to be reminded of 20. I mean, 2020 kind of came out of left field, though, if we're gonna be real.
That's true.
Fuck Reagan. I don't talk about that enough. Fuck Reagan. We don't like Reagan on this channel.
So, hey, I do want you and I talked about this a bit. I can't remember if it was comments or private messaging, but I remember you made a post that said you would only vote for Rand Paul or Thomas Massie if they won the nomination.
Yeah, that's like the only. I don't picture myself voting for Trump again. I don't picture myself voting for Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley. Like, I'm not interested in supporting the 2024 GOP platform at all.
So I'll drop you a hint. It's not going to be Massie or Rand.
No, fuck you. I know.
So
I know.
If we have,
I just didn't want to say it. I didn't want to post, I'm never voting for a Republican, because I knew people would be in the comments like, well, what about Massie? What about Rand Paul? So that's why I said that. That's my dream. Like, literally, Massie's my dream president. I know it's not going to happen.
So if it's Kamala Harris,
dream, the fuck, like, let me dream.
Right. I mean, so if it's Kamala Harris against Ron DeSantis, and then we either have Justin Amash or Dave Smith as the Libertarian, what would you do?
Libertarian. I'm not voting in a fucking pro-Israel fucking Zionist shill who probably wants to fucking make weed federally fucking criminalized. Like, I'm not gonna do it. I understand he like he would be a little bit better than them. I think most of what he does is virtue signaling. This whole fight to like throw to fucking lynch teachers who teach CRT. Like, shut the fuck up. That's only appealing to the boomers in Florida. And maybe it is appealing to Republicans nationwide, but it's like all these culture war issues can basically be solved on Twitter. Like, we can change people's minds without legislation. I solidly believe that. So all this shit that Ron DeSantis is very passionate about, making it illegal to criticize Israel, making it illegal to teach Marxist theory or whatever the fuck. I get it. I disagree with racism too. Thank you, Ron DeSantis. But a lot of shit like the riot bill that made any person arrested during the riots be held without bail, pretty authoritarian. So I understand when people are like, oh, but he was gonna lock down. It's like, you know, he would never lock us down if there was like another COVID. I get that. But I can't compromise on a lot of my other shit for that, you know? So yeah. So if it's DeSantis, I'm probably voting LP. I also joked and said I would write in myself. Maybe I still would.
Can I be your vice president if you write yourself in?
Of course.
That would be based.
This is like a reverse Kamala.
Coverdale 24. That would be great.
This is a reverse Kamala, like Biden Kamala ticket. This is like mixed queen at the top of the ticket, then like old white guy is the vice president.
Old white guy. Wow.
Somebody thought you were in your mid-30s, and that's old to me.
Okay.
I know people that comments about to be so offended. Because also I noticed in my analytics that like while like 70% of my viewership is male, it's like most of them are like 45 to 60. So I'm like, well, why do y'all follow me? But little sis.
Yeah, I have I think I'm 99.7 or 90.
Yeah, you don't have any bitches.
Well, I got you and a couple other people.
Carrie, it's me and Carrie.
You and Carrie. I gotta have more than that on YouTube. I don't know. Maybe that's it. But I don't know
why the fucking gun videos and the mustache should just be bringing the ladies.
Well, I don't have the gun now. I have like now my intro actually has Carrie in it, so you know, like it has, and it's
you know what my goal is out of everyone's podcast ever been. No one's put me in their intro. I'm not famous enough yet, but I just want to be in someone's intro. That's all I ask. Everyone has these like compilations with all these people and their fucking intro, and I'm like, where am I?
Yeah, it makes me feel bad because I just did my trailer like a week ago, and it's pretty bad. I'll get you in the next one, I swear.
I'll remember that when I'm making my intro because I don't have an intro, but I'll remember that. You won't be in it.
Wow. But I'm like the only guy you've had on in months. So
I've had you, David Fight, Spike Cohen.
Oh no, Spike is more popular.
He's going in the intro, not you.
Yeah.
Patriot J and
More
Magnus.
Popular. He's less.
Magnus is going in my intro.
Oh my god, I hate you.
Have it. Oh, and Jeff on the right. I've had 6 dudes on this channel, I think. Oh, and King Randall. Okay, 7. But the rest, and this is like my 17th live, like the rest have all been bitches. So
I've had you. I've had you, Carrie, Stacy, Angela McCardle.
I love Stacy.
Hannah Cox.
You've had Hannah on?
Yeah, Livy McKay.
I honestly, that surprises me. I feel like Hannah is I don't know. She's my boss, so maybe I shouldn't say this, but I don't know. I didn't know she went on like extremist channels. Like I think she's a very pragmatic libertarian. That's really not any shade. I think she's more about optics, so I would think she'd be more careful about this. Not that I give a fuck about optics because I'm like promoting the shit out of you all the time, but
wow, yeah. Man, you're like I can't. I'm like an extremist that like weirdo that if people go on my channel, I just had Nick Gillespie.
Well, it's just the way like okay, so I work for Fee now, so I like report to Hannah, and just the way she's spoken, she's like maybe this just relates to Fee, maybe not her personal brand, but she is very optics minded, I guess.
Yeah, I mean Nick Gillespie came on my show.
Who's that?
You don't know Nick Gillespie, like the Reason guy? Super high.
Okay, yeah.
And, I mean, he's as like professional libertarian as you get, pretty much. And he came on my show.
That's the way to describe it. I would say Hannah's like professional. So
it was after the McCain tweet too. He came on my show, so I don't know if he saw it, but he still came on my show.
Oh, so. I'll check it out.
Yeah.
Damn, people are still in this bitch after 2 hours. We got 21 people in this bitch. Do you have to go soon? Are you pressed that we've been here for so long?
I gotta get going sort of soon, but
okay, we can wrap. If anyone has any questions, drop them in the chat, and then Reed's gotta go jack off into a sock and kill 1 million babies or whatever.
Wow.
I don't know. I don't know what you have to do. You just said I have to go.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's what I got to do. I'm not sure.
You're not denying it, so that's what I'm just. I mean, I don't want to imagine it, but I'm just saying it's probably.
Yeah, and I'm the one with bad optics, man. So.
I stopped giving a fuck. You know what I noticed? No matter what I say, no matter what dumb shit I post, people keep giving me a platform anyways.
Hey, that's what I've noticed. I mean, I've gotten a bigger platform the crazier I sound, or like the more hard in the paint I go. So I
would post some crazy shit, and then HBO reached out to me. So I was like, okay, I guess I don't really need to stop. And that's funny because I had you on my channel when I was in New York filming for that HBO thing. That's why I was in a hotel there. So that was dope. So yeah, I don't think anyone really gives a fuck. I'll say
in light of that, you should go dig up my McCain tweet and quote tweet it and just say based or something, and help your optics.
I would not retweet it.
You told Hannah you wouldn't retweet it?
I told you I would not retweet it.
I was okay. I think you told Hannah. Like, I didn't know if she told you, like, do not.
No, they don't really. I honestly, all my bosses, like all my editors at Feed, they follow me on Twitter, and I've said some crazy shit, and they've never brought it up to me.
I have the best boss ever. Like, I don't know if I could say anything on Twitter that would get me fired. Like, it would probably get me a raise. Honestly, like the crazier thing I said.
Does your boss follow you?
Yeah, he subscribes to me on YouTube. Okay. I don't know if he has a Twitter, but he's a fan, so that's pretty based.
That's pretty based. But no, I deny your request. I'm not going to retweet that.
No, well, that's too bad.
I might go comment some dumb shit on it, but I'm not going to fucking retweet. Dude, that's so bad. The Meghan McCain part is so fucking bad.
But I told you, like, the upgrade is John McCain dying. That's the upgrade.
But his daughter is crying in that picture.
Yeah, she's upset about it, but I don't care. It's the upgrade. Like, we got rid of John McCain.
Okay.
So.
Well, if you, all my followers, everyone that's live, go retweet his tweet. I'm not going to fucking personally retweet it. I have congressmen that follow me that I think would unfollow me if I retweeted that.
See, I have based congressmen who follow me. So
I would do based people. Like, I don't know. Like Massey follows me. I feel like I'm one tweet at all times away from him unfollowing me.
I want to get him on the Four Horsemen. That would be amazing.
I tried to get him on my live stream. He hasn't responded. Yeah, I think he's like busy as fuck. You know who ducked me? Dave Smith never responded to me.
Yeah, you need to harass him more.
You know what? I just feel like after I think I tagged him in maybe twice and I DM'd him once, so I just figured if he probably saw it at this point and it just doesn't want to. So like that's fine. I'm not gonna ask him multiple times if I feel like he already saw it, you know?
Yeah.
And you're the one that told me he don't have women on this channel ever. So I was like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, he's had 720 episodes. I think like 5 of them have been with women. So, you know, that's my demographics are better than that. So
yeah. So yeah, if you guys don't have any other questions, we can go let Reed beat off into his sock. I'm also wondering this question. I wonder what Reed's sock budget is a year. I don't think he has. I think he uses the same sock. I think it's like solid now. Anyways, let me stop sexually harassing you. I'm sorry.
I've been so berated on this show. It hurts.
I thought that intro was pretty dope because I never drop people out. I always just start going live.
Well, so it was genius. I couldn't defend myself or just like.
I feel like you knew what was up when I said I was going to drop you out though, because I never drop people out. All right, dudes. Thank you for tuning in. I'm sorry that Reed was on Color People time. We started like 15 minutes late. Thank you, Reed. Tell people what your channel is called again so they can subscribe.
Yeah, I am the Naturalist Capitalist on YouTube. Definitely subscribe. I'm doing the Four Horsemen tomorrow, which is something I do once a month. It's Eric Jackman, myself, and Ryan Dawson. And we have a 4th guest that we just rotate every month. And this month it's Clint from Liberty Lockdown. So that's going to be a good episode. Check that out. Subscribe to the channel. Upcoming, I've got Tulsi Gabbard coming on sometime at the end of the summer. I've been talking to Matt Kibbe, going to have him on soon. I'm in the works for trying to get Abby Martin and Peter Schiff on the show. So all interesting names. So yeah, Follow me there, and I'm Reed Coverdale on Twitter.
Go follow him, guys. Just one more time for the people. Hold up.
Yeah.
Okay. I would like to leave you guys with this message. Don't be like this guy in the picture. Be not a neocon. Anyways,